Just got my new studio hooked up.
All right, I like it.
All right, good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner podcast. My special guest tonight is Luther Dupree from Steel City Sports World and the Boxing Authorities. Luther, tell my audience a little about yourself.
Hey, first of all, I want to say, Ralph, thanks for having me on.
You're
As you
welcome.
said, thank you. Luther Dupree, I do Steel City Sports World. We run the first Wednesday of every month on PCTV 21, www.pctv21.org. We're on Facebook. We're on my website, scsportsworld.com. It's the longest running sports show in PCTV history. We cover everything from pros, college, high school, even midget league. Also, I do the Boxing Authority with Smoke and Jim Frazier and Claudio Rosano, two great guys. And we're running, seems like 24 hours on PCTV. And we're also on Vive Network with the WBC. A lot of great things that we have in store this year. I can't wait.
Oh, that's great. You know what? I'm doing well with myself. Thursday, I have a new national talk show on Blog Talk Radio with Mark Mancini. It's called
Oh,
um, It's called Black and Gold Sports Show. That's what we're calling it.
okay. Oh, all right.
So I'm going to be on with Mark Mancini on Blog Talk Radio for a half hour from 8 to 8:30 Thursday nights. So tune in. I
Okay.
have a phone number I'll post that I posted on my Facebook page. So check it out as well.
Oh, no
And
doubt. I'll definitely call. Yeah.
yeah, you call that phone number and you can listen into the show and also make your comments via text.
Okay.
So that's great. It would be great to have you, Luther, also. And I'll see what I can do to try to move your shows forward as well.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
hey, no problem at all. Okay, let's get started with the Steelers, of course. As you know, yesterday, Kevin Colbert had his press conference and there was a lot of different things said there. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the worst thing he said, he's comfortable moving forward with Mason Rudolph. I hope that's not true. I hope that's just Steeler speak because if we go in this season and he's our number one quarterback, we're in trouble. He doesn't have it. It was a bad pick. I said it when they drafted him, and I've been proven to be right. We have to upgrade that position. We have two guys in college I like. I like, of course, Pickett from Pitt. And I like Liberty, the quarterback, Malik Willis. I think those two are great options. There's options available by trade. I want either one of those guys. I don't think we'll get Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we'll get a Russell Wilson. But a Deshaun Watson, that's a possibility. That's a strong possibility because Brian Flores, who we just brought in, is very close with Deshaun Watson. I don't know what happens there, but I would like that move. Um,
Well, I'm
Jimmy G,
hearing.
yeah, good.
Oh, go ahead, Luther.
No, I heard Jimmy G was thrown around. I would not want that at all. But but there's some options out there. The worst option is Mason Rudolph as a starter. That's the main one I don't want. I did like Brian Flores. I think that was a huge pickup. I've never seen a coach suing the NFL, but also coaching an NFL. That's going to be a strange dynamic we've never seen before. So anytime we get a bad call, we could say, that's because he's suing the NFL. That we didn't
Oh,
get that penalty.
yeah, absolutely. But you know what's interesting? I agree with you on Jimmy G. I think he's too injury prone. I don't like it either. But I do tell you what, I do like Malik Willis. I watched him in the Senior Bowl, and I got to tell you, he can move, man. That guy can move. And I mean, and
Yeah.
I like it. I want somebody like that with the Steelers because I think it'll work with Matt Canada's offense with a guy like that.
Oh,
That'll be a whole lot better. And I agree with you on Mason Rudolph. I was once a Mason Rudolph fan. I don't know. I'm starting to, you know what I mean, steer the other direction. And it's not just because of what everyone's saying. It's just because of the fact that I took a look at his record and I took a look at what he's done, and it's just and his attitude. I mean, I'm hearing now that him and Ben never even talked. I mean, it was just a whole. I looked at everything as a whole, and I said, you know what, this guy's not going to do it.
well, I wouldn't say Ben didn't talk to a lot of guys who were brought in to be his replacement, so I wouldn't hold that against him. Ben wasn't the greatest teacher of guys about to take his position. I'll say that. But as far as
I'll
Mason
say that.
Rudolph, I think his arm is weak. I don't think he moves well in the pocket, and I think he's slow at reading defenses. When you have all three of those, one is bad. When you have all three, I don't think you have a chance at the quarterback position. You can't move, your arm isn't strong, and you don't read defenses very quick. Recipe for a disaster, and that's what Mason Rudolph
Yeah, well,
is.
everybody's getting or is angry with him about the Detroit game, which of course we all watched that.
Yeah,
And then, and he's had some other games. He's had some good games that he came up short. And I understand the criticism with him. Dwayne Haskins is a restricted free agent. Josh Jobs nobody knows about yet because he had that turf toe. And I've said this before, turf toe can take you out for the rest of your career. I've
exactly.
seen it happen with athletes, so we'll
Exactly.
see what happens. You know what I mean with him.
Yeah, Dobbs is, he's a
So
career backup. You know, funny. I got a little feedback. What you say, Ralph? I missed that last part.
No, no, I was gonna say that I heard today that the Steelers they're going actually gonna go after a free agent quarterback. They've already talked to Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with anybody really with experience. Marcus Mariota maybe, and a few other guys, but that's about the extent of where we're going. If they go in
Mm.
with what they have now and don't bring an experienced backup in, I think we're gonna have problems.
Right. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that's had a lot of bad luck throughout his career. Remember, 2 years ago, he was supposed to be the starter with the Chargers. He goes in for a procedure and something it gets a lung puncture and his season's done. Last year he's in Houston. He gets injured early. Tyrod Taylor is a band-aid, not the strongest of an arm. He wins, quite a bit for C-level talent. I wouldn't have a problem with him. I think he'd be okay. Marcus Mariota, I don't see what it is. Oregon, it looked like he was going to do something. Since then, he hasn't impressed me either. I don't like either one of those guys. I'd rather start fresh with a young quarterback. We have a young line, young quarterback grow together. That's what I'd like to see. Not one of these stopgap guys come in.
Well, do you think the Steelers are going to think outside the box, Luther? I think they have to because they have to stop this Steeler way stuff and start thinking outside the box a little bit. They have a lot. They have money to play with in the salary cap. They can afford to bring in some free agents. They have to at some key positions. What do you think?
Listen, the Steelers are always going to be the Steeler way. They don't spend a lot. They have more money than anybody this year, but we're not going to spend more than anybody this year. I think we'll do more than we usually do, but I don't think we're going to make the big splash that everybody's thinking. I think we'll bring in a lineman or two, maybe a linebacker, maybe a corner, but they're not going to go splashing away like everybody thinks, unfortunately. I think they need a talent upgrade, but I don't think they're going to spend that money. Like everybody thinks.
Do you think that they're going to? Well, with Brian Flores here, I see improvement in like Devin Bush and a few of these other guys, and I see Joe Schobert going out the door. What do you think?
Yeah, Schobert's definitely gone. He's a big salary, and he didn't play well. Devin Bush, he's still on his rookie deal. He didn't play well. I think it was more his injury. I know Smoke and Jim and guys like that have been on him from the beginning, but Devin Bush showed his rookie year he can move. He's a
Move.
speed player. I think he was playing this year worried about tearing his ACL. I'm not going to give up on him yet. I think there's still something there, but he has to get in the playbook and understand, what the other offense is doing. But I'm not giving up on him. I think he can help him. I think Brian Flores as a whole can help this defense. Terrell Austin is the defensive coordinator. I didn't like that hire. I thought there were some other guys out there they could have done, but I think Brian Flores, with his experience and outside the organization, can do some things to really help this defense.
Yeah, I think that Devin Bush should improve this year with Brian Flores involved in the defense. Also, I don't see. Let's take a look at some of the free agents on defense. Do you think Tuitt will be back?
You know what? They said they want to give him another chance, but he didn't play at all. I said this years ago, and guys made fun of me. I said I would let Tuitt go and sign Hargrove. There was a chance. It was pretty much between those two. I would have taken Hargrove. Stewart was getting older every year. He'd get an injury. Every other year, he'd get an injury. I think he should be gone. They could use that money elsewhere. I don't even know what he has left. I mean, he's a very injury-prone player. Yeah, I'd say let him go if it were me. But the Steelers seem to like that guy.
Yeah, for some strange reason, they talk about him a lot. Alawu comes back this year. I think that'll shore up the defensive line a little bit. They got rid of Isaiah Buggs, and there was a few guys they brought in. That Adams, he played well. I thought. I
Yeah,
call those
yeah,
guys
I was
they brought
impressed.
in. I thought the guys that they brought in from the practice squad, I call them used cars because we ended up with somebody else's problems. You see what I'm getting at, Luther? I mean,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
the term I'm trying to use is used cars because when you buy a used car, especially if you buy it off of one of them private lots, sometimes you're going to get
Mhm.
a lemon or something like that. And it appears the Steelers got a lot of lemons instead of the oranges, as they say. But I think that Adams was probably it was the only one that really did anything. I saw some a glimmer of hope in Taco Charlton. He was in on a few tackles here and there, and that was it. But I want to say, how about Kansas City and Ingram? How about Melvin Ingram in Kansas City? He did really well for them when we
Yeah,
traded him.
yeah, he did. You know, I hated to see him go. I wish he would have got more playing time here. I think he could have him. Could have been a nice rotational player, but he wasn't getting the time, and he helped Kansas City. I think it was a win-win. He came through with some big plays for Kansas City, not against Buffalo, but before that game, he came through with some big plays. He wanted to go back to that division. He played years with the Chargers, and I think he liked to have the chance to play against the Chargers again. So yeah, I think that was a loss that we could have kept and not helped Kansas City out. But Melvin Ingram got what he wanted. He got to play with a contender, and they almost went to the big game. What
Oh,
a couple
absolutely.
plays away.
It was a couple plays away. Like I always say, Luther, when you commit penalties and you make mistakes and things like that, you beat yourself. And Kansas City did it again. They beat themselves, and that's what's going on right now with
Yeah,
them. And they ended
and
up being out of the Super Bowl. And so what's your
right.
thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Well, first, before we go back to that, Patrick Mahomes, I think he's terrific. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks already, but he makes those mistakes. He thinks he's Superman out there. He runs around and will make a play, and most of the time it helps you, but other times it kills you. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, he killed them running around, getting them out of field goal position. The interception in overtime, forcing it into double coverage when there were guys clearly open, closer. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but still, he will make plays because he's like a Brett Favre. He'll win some, but he'll throw some games away. And it blew up in their face this year. As far as the Super Bowl, it played out the way I thought it would. Um, I thought Cincinnati, they got there ahead of time. That offensive line is horrible. I've never seen an offensive line that bad get to the Super Bowl. They gave up 7 sacks, and I knew once it came down to it, Aaron Donald was going to stand up big. He was there before and couldn't make put his stamp on the game against Tom Brady. This time he was ready, and Burrows had no chance. Back-to-back plays, he ended the game and told everybody to ring him after he got that sack. As far as Cincinnati, they're only a few steps away from being a really, really great team. They have to get the offensive linemen. They have to get some cornerbacks. Eli Apple as a starting corner is not going to get it done. They went after him time and time again for the Rams with backups when Odell went down, and they still beat him. But once they get those few things, Cincinnati is going to be a problem in our division. I still say the AFC North is the best division in football. There's no
Oh, it
easy.
has to be. It is
Everybody can play.
everybody's upgraded, and then it was actually a close race this year for the playoffs. I mean, we were
Yeah,
all in it, and
right.
usually one of us is out of it, like 4-12, something like Cincinnati or something. I was real surprised with Cincinnati this year because of the hype with Cleveland, and then
Right.
Cleveland dropped the ball. I mean, they
Yeah.
really
And if you think
stunk
about it, Cleveland beat Cincinnati a couple times this year, and they
exactly,
were
yeah.
last in our division. And and
Yes,
then Lamar Jackson, they were 8-2 before he got hurt, and then they started losing as soon as he went out. So usually the Ravens are better.
or
So
better,
there was a
right?
lot of things that helped Cincinnati this year.
Yeah, and then them beating the Steelers twice. I'm going to tell you this, Luther. We won twice against the Ravens, twice against the Browns. What would have happened if we would have won twice against the Bengals? The
Right.
whole scenario would have changed. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think the Steelers this year, they have a lot of work to do in the offseason. They have to go out and get some players. They have to fix a lot of areas. I was talking to Alan Levine, who we're going to have on Monday night on the
The
Sports Thing.
talking machine.
Talking machine, yeah. And I was talking to him, and we both agreed that I think it's time for Danny Smith to hit the road a little bit, the special teams coach. We don't get a lot of we don't he don't put the right players in the right positions. Like for instance, we need to start getting a kick returner or somebody or a punt returner somewhere that can get us some decent field position every year. We just haven't been able to do that, and I don't know if that's his fault or if it's just a concept that we just don't have the talent. But I believe we have the talent. He just don't know how to use it.
Well, yeah, we haven't had a great kick returner or punt returner, not because of lack of effort. They tried to get guys there, they just didn't pan out. Um, yeah, Smith has been here for a while. I wouldn't be upset if he was let go. Even our punt game hasn't been good. Now,
Yeah, that
but
was
also
bad.
we have a great field goal kicker. We have the best field goal kickers in the whole NFL in our division, and Boswell is one of them. So we can say on one hand we don't have the greatest kick return game, but Boswell has been money, and he's won a lot of games throughout the year. So I don't think there's anything special about Smith. Um, but yeah, I would like to see our kick return game improve just a little bit. We haven't had a game breaker since what, Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown, right? And then on top of that, we drafted Presley Harvin, and then when they interviewed Kevin Colbert at the draft, he even said the reason why we drafted him was because of his ability for fake kicks and punts, and not one time did we do it this year with him. Instead, they tried to do it with Boswell at the Cleveland game. Remember that? We had
Yeah,
that.
and
I had
Boswell ran around like he was Lamar.
right.
Lamar Jackson almost got his face knocked off. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that.
exactly. Yeah,
But you
yeah,
know
that
what?
was crazy.
As far as Harvin, I'm not going to hold this first year against him. Remember, his
No,
father was
no, not at
very
all.
sick, and then he eventually passed away. So we don't know how much that's weighing on a young man. So
And then
maybe
he
next
came
year
back for
he'll
the
be better.
last game. He
For
came
me,
back for the last game. He
yeah,
was
he
back
did.
the last game. Yeah, I mean, and I thought that, that was nice of him to do that. I actually thought he was going to be out the rest of the season,
I
and we
did
were going to
too.
see that Corliss Wakefield, and so I thought that was going to be an interesting scenario there. But I think maybe this year, I hope we see a little bit of some fake punts, some fake kicks, or something. Because I'm going to tell you, even with a veteran quarterback there, just managing the game for us this year until we get our franchise quarterback. We're going to need all the help we can get to score points in some cases.
Yeah,
So I
you're
mean,
you're right.
and that's what we should have did this year was use whatever means necessary to win games, and that's how you win games. I mean, you have to do it by every means necessary.
Right.
And I believe that to be the case. You're watching Sports Corner here on YouTube Live. My special guest, Luther Dupree from Steel City Sports World and the Boxing Authorities. We have comments section, so please don't forget to leave your comments if you're watching live or if you watch it when the record. It doesn't make any difference. You can watch it either way. And don't forget to join me on Friday afternoon here at 4 p.m. for The Way I See It. I'm still working to get a guest on. I was trying to get Jamie Campolongo on from Z Trip Cab, to talk about the Uber situation, but I couldn't get him on, Luther. He hasn't got back to me yet as to whether he's going to come on or not.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get Jerry DiPaolo from the Trib Live for next week. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, but he's a little bit busy with the ACC tournament right now. He said he'd be on. I think I'm going to have him on in a couple of weeks, but I'm working on that too. So that's
Man,
some stuff.
you're trying to take over sports media, Ralph. Wow.
Oh, I'm not trying to take over. I'm trying to get back to what I love doing, man. I was on too on PCTV back in
Okay.
the early 19 or the early 92, 93. I started. My first guest was John Fedko, and
Wow.
my
All
other
right.
guest
The
was
Fetco zone.
Joe Walton from Robert Morris.
Okay.
And then I did sport. It was called Sports Talk with Ralph Williams. I did it until 2000. What
Okay.
had happened was in 1999, and I don't know if I ever told you this story. I was doing an exclusive on the Riverhounds, and the Riverhounds in '99 had just came to Pittsburgh, and I
Right.
was doing a radio show on WEDO 810 a.m. As my sports talk show, and I had a guest on, and Dave Casper, and we were talking about the Riverhounds. Do you know? I had a guy call me up, and he wanted to know what I thought Hines Ward was doing this year.
Oh,
And here I'm
wow.
trying to push the Riverhounds. I got Dave Casper on. I got John Phillips on, who was the GM. And I says to this guy, I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you what Hines Ward's going to do this year. He's gonna kick the ball in the net. And then so I got kind of frustrated with the fact that I thought, well, why should I keep talking about the Steelers when everybody talks about the Steelers? I like to
Right.
talk about a lot of other parts of sports. So I hung it up. I said, you know what? I'm done. This isn't a sports town like I thought it was. It's a Steeler town. All they want to do is talk about the Steelers. There's other people that can do that better than me. I'm done. And then I decided, last year to start really kicking it up. I was doing this on Facebook for about 2 years. This is my third year anniversary on Facebook with Sports Corner and the way I
Oh,
see it.
okay.
And now I'm on PCTV, and
Mhm.
you and I are getting together with shows, and I'm doing this thing now with Mark Mancini. Mark and I actually on Sunday we did a wrestle talk show, which we're gonna set a date for real soon to officially have a set date. But Sunday we did a wrestle talk, talked about the WWE Elimination Chamber. We had a good time.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay. I'm gonna have to
yeah,
check that out. My kids
I'm
love wrestling.
yeah, I'm gonna let you guys handle boxing. I'll handle wrestling. How's that sound? Hey,
Hey, that works. That works.
did you get that? You got that thing I sent you about the Fury White matchup, right? That I
Yes,
sent you.
it's finally signed. I'm so
Yeah,
glad. I'm looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be better than people think. I still
oh, I
favor
think
Fury,
so too.
but I think White is going to bring it.
Yeah,
He's not
White
afraid of
could give him
Fury.
a battle. I mean, he really could.
Hmm.
I mean, it's good to see Fury fighting somebody else. No offense to Wilder or anything, but it's good to see him fighting
Hey,
somebody
those were
else.
some good fights,
Good
man.
evening, and
Those are some
welcome
great
to another.
fights.
I
Sorry
bet
about
they
that.
are. That's okay. So anyway, let's get back to the Steelers again some more. Um, What about Terrell Austin? I know we spoke earlier about him. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. What do you think? You think he's going to hang in there, or do you think he's going to just be the man behind the scenes now with Flores and Tomlin and whatnot? What do you think?
I think Tomlin's going to have a lot of say in the defense. He had a lot of say, in years past as well. Ever since LeBeau and all those guys left, he's had a lot of say. So I think he's still going to be part of it. Terrell Austin, he had a couple bad games with Cincinnati. He had about 3 games. It was bad. He didn't have much he was working with. So I think Tomlin's going to have his hands all over this defense, and Flores will put in some things here and there. But
Think
you know,
right.
he's come up through the Steelers system. He's worked his way up since he left Cincinnati. So I'm going to give him a chance. I kind of wish they would have gone outside of the Steeler family, but
That's
I'll
the
give him a
talk.
chance.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about this offensive line coach, this Pat Meyer? People were saying he's horrible because he had bad time in Carolina, and I'm hearing stories now. Luther, listen to this: that the offensive line coaches, the two that left, Chris Morgan and Adrian Clem left. I'm hearing stories they couldn't get along with Matt Canada.
Yeah,
It seems like he's getting hard to get along with, and I'm a big cheer. I cheer for Matt Canada because I liked him when he was at Pitt. I thought everything was fine. But I'm coming to find out, and I talked to some sources at Pitt and with the Steelers, and they both told me the same story. He's hard to get along with, and I didn't know that. I was not aware of that at all.
yeah, yeah. I take it with a grain of salt. When guys leave and say that, oh, he was tough to deal with, so I had to get away. I'm going to give him another shot. He had a horrible first year,
Yeah,
but he was
yeah.
limited by an aging quarterback who couldn't throw it past 10 yards. So,
Square peg into a round hole. You know,
yeah, right. So now he's going to come in. Hopefully, we get a young guy who can throw it a little better. And Matt Canada's offense, the quarterback moves a lot. there's a lot of deception, and with Ben
Exactly.
limited,
Yes.
he couldn't do it. So we'll see. He better be on full display this year. No
Oh
excuses.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I
Oh,
want to see the
absolutely.
flea
The target's on
flickers,
his
the
back.
verses, everything.
The target's on his back, big time.
Oh yeah, yeah. A
Because
lot of
now,
people wanted him to be out of here because the offense didn't show any improvement and it was worse than ever, you know. But we'll see. He has a great running back. He has talent at receivers. Now the offensive line needs a lot of work, and we got to see it with the quarterback. But he has to open his playbook up because we have playmakers out there. He has to find a way to get him the ball in space. But I wasn't impressed with Matt Canada since he left Pitt. He's been getting fired everywhere else he's been.
everywhere he
So we'll
well,
see.
he couldn't get along with Ed Ogeron down in LSU. They said there was some immediate, fighting in that, and then he was with Maryland, and then he worked under Randy Edsel, and then Edsel got fired, and he ended up being the head coach, down there for a little while as interim head coach, and that's when he came to the Steelers, and I heard the only reason he came to the Steelers was because Mike Tomlin's son was there, and and
Mm,
and recommended him to his dad. So I mean, I don't know if that's exactly true, but I mean, that could be the case too. But then again, like I said, I think Matt Canada needs another year. You're right when you said, and I agree with you. It's like shoving a square peg into a round hole. You just can't do it like that. He even admitted himself, Matt Canada, he had to draw up different plays for Ben specifically.
mhm.
And if you notice, when he wore the wristband, those were Ben's plays, and anything that came from the booth was his play, Matt's play.
Yeah,
So what I'm
yeah,
saying is that's how they had to do it this year because of Ben. But I feel
right.
bad for Ben because he came in this year, he played for one season, and it had to unfortunately be a season around this offensive line.
Yeah.
And what do you think of this Pat Meyer?
The jury's still out. I didn't like his line at Carolina, but we'll see. He didn't have much to work with. And he doesn't have much to work with here. He has a lot of rookies, what'll be second year guys. But I'm thinking the Steelers are going to at least upgrade the center position, maybe go out and get a center and maybe another guard or tackle, one or the other.
One
So
or the
he'll
other?
have more to work with. We'll see. I'm giving these guys a chance.
No, I am
It seems
too.
like
I
the
am.
Steelers are,
Yeah,
are, are putting out a lifeboat. Matt Canada didn't have a home. They saved him.
right.
Brian Flores
Right.
was suing the NFL. They brought
Then
him
they
in. So I
exactly.
don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll catch lightning in the bottle. All these guys on their last leg trying to get in. Who
That's
knows?
right. That's right. Maybe we'll get the right used car, as they say. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, um, what's your thoughts on the USFL coming back? What's your thoughts on that? The Maulers are back. What do you think?
Well, as a football fan, the
Well,
more football on, the better.
yeah,
Pittsburgh Maulers are
absolutely.
back, but they're all playing in the same city.
City.
They're not
Yeah.
even They're not even playing in Pittsburgh. It's
No,
Pittsburgh
no,
in name only.
not this year. At
Not
least
this year.
not
Not
this year.
this year, and we don't know if they're going to be around for next year. So we'll
Next year.
see. You know what I mean? A
Right.
lot of these startups only last for 1 year or less because it's tough. It's tough to follow the NFL. The NFL has such a huge grasp on
Right.
football. It's
Hmm.
hard to break in like this unless you have a little niche, like the XFL years ago had a little niche with the
Yeah.
nicknames
Oh,
and all the different
they're gonna
things.
come back for a third time. The XFL's trying to make a third attempt to come back. Let's hope
Yeah,
that
I
works.
think didn't The Rock buy the XFL?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
The
well, no,
Rock, the
Vince
Rock,
McMahon
it,
owns
pretty much anything the Rock touches turns to
touch
gold. So,
full.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past him to make the XFL a profitable league. I'm sure he has some great ideas to really help the league. We'll see though. That'll be 3 leagues playing professional football. So
I tell you
I
what,
don't know,
though,
but
there's some nice coaches on the USFL. We got Jeff Fisher heading up the Michigan Panthers, and he's
oh, Jeff
yeah, Jeff
Fisher's
Fisher.
one of the biggest losers in the history of the NFL. Yeah,
Come
that
on,
man
he
has
went to
had
the
so
Super
many
Bowl.
losing seasons. He should have been fired years ago for St. Louis. Come on, man. Soon as he leaves the Rams, Goff becomes a decent quarterback, and they go to the
Quarterback.
Super Bowl, man. Jeff
Yeah,
Fisher, oh,
you think Jeff Fisher's too much, huh?
I think he's overrated. I think he should have been fired years ago with the Rams. That man
How
wasn't
about
winning
how
at
about Mike
all.
how about Mike Riley? How about him? Remember Mike
Riley, I
Riley?
like Riley. Yeah, I like Wilson. There's some good ones. I just don't like Jeff Fisher. I just think he's very overrated. If you look at his record, you have to wonder how he kept a job so long because he didn't win. He's only taken one team to the Super Bowl, and you got to get to the end zone. He calls a play that ends at the 2-yard line. I mean, that's the kind of coach that we're talking about. One play to win the game, and you call a slant at the 3-yard line, and the guy got to stretch for the end zone. I really think he's an overrated coach.
Well, the USFL, the people, well, the Fox owns the USFL, so they own the Maulers right now until the original
Right.
owners take over. They're currently looking around in case this year does last, and they have to come here to play next year. They're looking for a facility. I'm told Heinz Field's out of the fray because it's too
No,
expensive,
right.
and they're not going to draw to fill Heinz Field to begin with, unless Cliff
Rivertown.
did or
They
something.
might play at the Rivertown Highmark Stadium. Or
Well, Highmark said that according they looked at Highmark and they spoke with them, they kind of want to leave that for soccer only anymore. They don't want to
oh,
use it for football anymore. So I'm hearing Rooney Field up in Duquesne, and I'm
okay.
hearing a possibility to talk to the Pirates about maybe converting PNC Park into a football field, which can be done.
That won't
Also,
happen. That won't happen. I can tell you
oh,
now
I,
that's not gonna happen.
I know it won't. And I'm trying to think of what the other field was they looked at. I know they looked at Rooney Field. I know they looked at they were thinking about the PNC Park thing, and then they had spoken with Highmark. But I think the Rooney Field up in Duquesne. Oh, Joe Walton Stadium out in Robert
Mm,
Morris. They were looking
no,
at that out.
yes, that'll be a nice one for him.
That'll be a nice facility. When I had Claudio on last week, he agreed that that was probably the best facility that they probably could have for the
Right.
Maulers game.
Yeah.
Walton Field.
More affordable too, probably.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Also, too, they know they're not going to draw a lot of fans, and that's why they're looking at these smaller entities. If they have it at Heinz Field, well, if it's still Heinz Field, we're going to talk about that as well. Because the naming rights are up, and everyone's trying to guess what they're going to
Mm.
name it. I mean,
Who's
but
gonna
they
pay
have
the most who's gonna pay the most money to change the name?
UPMC. They said they're the
Oh,
ones that could pay the most money.
right.
Okay.
Of course.
And
They don't
UPMC's
do everything else in Pittsburgh. Why not?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. US still don't have it, and then so I don't know who else we could really. I mean, PPG got their name on the arena, so there's who else is there? I mean,
Right.
it would have to probably be UPMC, and I mean they already got contracts with the Steelers and with Pitt and everything else, so that all works out. So I think it'll work out for the better. We'll find out what the name is going to be. It's coming up at the end of the year. Heinz is pulling out. They've moved their offices to Chicago. All right, we have Pittsburgh Big Dog. Congratulations to the new show. Yes, thank you, Pittsburgh Big Dog. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching Sports Corner here on YouTube. My guest, Luther Dupree, and we're talking sports in Pittsburgh here, and we're also national. Hey, how about the City League games, basketball games, Luther? Alderdice for the boys, Obama for the girls. What do you think?
Oh man, usually we cover the games and air them on PCTV. We weren't able to this time, but I love it. I think Alderdice, the girls lost it. Obama beat them. I kind of thought Alderdice girls, the Dragons would win, but Obama has taken it back. I know Alderdice won it about 3 or 4 years in a row, so Obama broke the streak. Um, as far as
Well,
the
if all
girls,
the girls would have won this, they would be the high school champions. Because remember, they won the City League football game too, didn't they?
oh right, yes, they won the
Yeah,
football.
they would be the school of champions because the boys basketball and the girls basketball, they would be that.
Oh
So,
yeah,
it was great to see that they had that both of those schools have won, and that was great to hear. Also, speaking of, oh, by the way, I wanted to talk a little bit of Pitt football with you. What's your thoughts on Frank Signetti Jr., new offensive coordinator?
well, listen, man, they have talent. They have quarterbacks transferring in from the USC. We got the USC quarterback. So we're going to have great receivers, good running back, and we have a talented quarterback from USC. The name slips my mind. What's his name
Uh,
again? You know it, Ralph?
Slovis is his name. Slovis is his last name.
Slovis, right, right. So I mean, I think he's going to do fine. I mean, if you have talent, to me, talent is more important than coaching. If you have the talent, they can make an average coach look great. You know what I mean? You could be a great coach, but if you don't have the talent, you're going to struggle. As we saw with the Patriots last year, not this past season, but the year before, they were 5-11. This year, they got more talent, and Bill Belichick was back to being his own self. He got his team to the playoffs. I mean, they got smoked when they got there, but he got them to the playoffs. They won 11 games. So I think he has the talent, and I think Pitt can compete for another ACC title. Clemson will be back next year, but I think they can compete.
Okay.
Clemson's
Yeah.
gonna
Well, you know what? There's some new
reloading.
coaches in the ACC too this year. Luther, they got Virginia got a new coach. Virginia Tech, Miami.
Miami.
Miami could win this year. It could really look good. They got Mario Cristobal down there,
Yeah,
and
listen,
Charlie
Miami.
Strong. They just hired Charlie Strong. So
Yeah,
I mean,
and Miami doesn't take long to turn around. I mean, they have so much talent
oh,
in that
yes,
Florida area. They get a couple guys there, and they get the right coach. That program
yeah,
turns around immediately. And we know
absolutely.
Pitt, and we know Pitt can't beat Miami. Even on our best year, we lose to Miami.
Yeah, yeah.
Last year
That
we could beat everybody, but Miami came. I won money on that one. I said, no way we beat Miami. We just can't beat them.
Oh, absolutely. Ever since Kenny Pickett beat them a few years back, they can't beat them. So I
Right.
mean, it's been. I think they've kind of stuck that in their craw a little bit that they they lost to Pitt with Kenny Pickett, but also too, we have to go to Central Michigan. That's going to be a worrisome one, or Western Michigan, or the Michigan we lost to this year. I think it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Western Michigan. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
we
you
have
know
to
what?
go
We had
there
a lot of guys from this area that were on that team, so they were motivated against Pitt. We had a
against
guy
Pitt.
that we awarded a trophy to, came out of the City League, that
Mhm.
played cornerback. So they had a lot of
Right.
guys from here that got looked over by Pitt, so they
Recruited
were
by
really
Pitt.
motivated.
Yep. Yeah, you're right on that. I like Frank Signetti, and I'll tell you why. He was the offensive coordinator under Dave Wannstedt. The last few years, Dave Wannstedt was here when he was Pitt's coach. He executes a good running. He likes to run the football, and we have some good running backs. Izzy Abanikanda. We have Vincent Davis. We have that other kid that ran. I can't place his name off the top of my head right
Mm.
now, but we have three good running backs coming in, and he just recruited a fullback. So I'm thinking he's going to go with that play action, run the football style of offense. That's Signetti's signature right there. And you know, when Wannstedt was the coach, he liked to run the football, and he ran it
Right,
with Bill Stahl.
right.
Bill Stahl was his quarterback. So I'm thinking, Frank Signetti coming back can't be a bad thing. And I mean, and like you said, with the talent, it's going to be great. They have their whole offensive line coming back, and they have this new quarterback from USC, the running
Yeah.
back game, the receiver game. I think it's going to be great when they play this year again. And I see Pitt getting back into the championship game. I really do. I see them getting back into everything. Speaking of Pitt, let's talk a little bit about our three college basketball teams in town here, Luther. I know that you are following a little bit here, but the Pitt, Duquesne, and Robert Morris, all three of them are stinking up the joint. What do you think is the problem?
Well, you know what? Pitt. Let me start with Pitt. Right now, Jeff Capel. We pretty much know this is last season. He's brought in great talent. I thought it was a great move by Pitt getting him out of Duke. I said, man, we got a guy who's going to bring in all kind of talent, and it didn't happen. You see, the transfer portal every year is full of Pitt players.
Going
They play 1 year, and all the talent leaves. So this year
please.
we got a lot of guys first year playing at Pitt. Um, I don't know
And a
what
lot
it's
of
going
guys
to take.
transferred from the transfer portal to Pitt, like that Gee. I like
Yeah,
that Gee guy because he's a good player. He's gone. He's a senior immediately because he was part of he was with another team, and
exactly.
I mean, and Jeff Capel was falling on some hard times here.
Very
I
hard.
agree with you that I thought when he came in here, it was going to be the greatest thing in the world, especially after Kevin Stallings. And,
Oh,
so I thought that we were going to really do well. Now, Duquesne, on the other hand, I was listening to a show that Mark Mancini produces. It's called the 412. They're local
okay,
here, Luther. They had a guest on, Zach Weiss, and he's a reporter for the Trib. And
okay.
believe it or not, he gave me the audience and everybody some great insight on what's going on with Duquesne basketball, and I didn't know this. Keith Danbrock got rid of his whole team last year because he didn't like them. They all had attitude problems. But on the other hand, they were talented and they were winning games. So the administration's not real happy with him because this year they have a new facility that he's trying to sell, but it's hard to sell a new facility when you have new players on your team and you're losing by 20 points every game and you're 1-11 in the A10. That's the
Yeah.
problem right there. And Keith Dambrot right now is having that problem. And another thing too, the administration's thinking coaching burnout. He's been coaching for 40 years, okay, and they think that the kids he had last year, they had attitude problems and they needed adjusted, but they won games.
Right.
So now Zach said he was sacrificing winning games this year to get rid of these players because he didn't like them. So that's where the administration's upset because, again, like I said, they just built a new facility down there and they're trying to sell it. He's trying to sell it. The university's trying to sell it. And they're not drawing because, everybody's unhappy about what's going on with the team right now. Robert Morris the same way. Andy Toole's a great coach. He's been there for a long time, at least a good 10 or more years. I don't know what's happening to him, but I'm hearing from Zach Weiss as well. The transfer portals hit both of those teams real hard because all the good there are going to better universities.
Yeah, that transfer portal is something else. I mean, I've never seen it like it. I don't know how much longer it's going to last because every year it's like free agents. Somebody's unhappy, they get in a transfer portal. Where are they next? It's hard to follow a team now because they're always transferring or leaving. But I think one thing that we haven't talked about is the talent in Pittsburgh. Are we producing the big D1 talent in basketball right now? We're not. And the ones that we are, they're not coming to Pitt, Robert Morris, or Duquesne. So that's a key issue right now.
That's the problem. They have to recruit locally. I mean, we were the pipeline. Luther, we were the pipeline on both ends at one time, many years ago. Pittsburgh was the pipeline for football and basketball. Mm-hmm. And now we're not, I hear we're no longer the pipeline anymore. And
you look at those rosters, you don't see a lot of good guys on the rosters.
Yes, exactly. And that's troubling to me because at one time we were in control of all that. And we had those kind of kids that wanted to do that. Speaking of basketball, what's your thoughts on the Juwan Howard thing in Michigan?
Listen, all right, my thought, it may be a little controversial, but listen, what he did
I'm for controversy here.
Yeah, what he did was wrong, but I don't like the Wisconsin coach putting his hands on him. He's already upset. You don't put your hands on a man. He's already upset, and he told him 3 times, "Don't touch me." The guy kept touching him, so he got touched. But
he got ignorant.
Started touching people. Let the man go. He's upset. You called a timeout. Go through. Let him cool down. There was no reason he had to put his hand on his arm and his chest and stop him from walking. You don't do that to a grown man. You do that to me, I'm gonna put my hands on you as well.
On you, exactly.
Both of them
I agree with you on that. I watched the footage. I saw where he put his hands on Juwan Howard. I thought that I'm thinking the same thing you are as well.
He's having a frustrating season. Juwan Howard, they're 14-11. He's upset they done lost another game. He doesn't want to talk to you. Fine, just let him shake. He wasn't even looking at him. He had his hand out, was looking straight ahead. Let him go.
Yeah, he totally ignored the guy, and he really wasn't. And then all of a sudden, he puts his hands on him, and I'm like,
exactly. So that's the problem. You don't put your hands on a grown man, especially in a sports setting like that. It could have been avoided if you just let him go through. But both of them were wrong. I think 5-game suspension. I guess it's justified, but I think the Wisconsin coach should get a little more than what he's gotten as well. You don't put your hands on a man. Unless you're slapping hands, there's no need to put your hands on his arm or your chest.
Or anything. Right. Okay, let's get into the Penguins a little bit here. You were at the game Friday night. What's your thoughts on them? You think do you agree like I do that over the last few years, and Mike Sullivan likes to run this speedy offense, this run around the ice offense kind of thing, and you don't like big guys that bully people. Okay. Mike Sullivan has to start thinking outside the box, or Ron Hextall's going to have to do something here. We need to toughen up a little bit. The Penguins do, especially what happened to Jari last week in that, or a week or so ago in that Bruins game. Okay, that guy just hit him in the head with a stick, and then he hit him again, and we sat back and we stood back and did nothing, which of course probably would have been the best case because then somebody would have got suspended. You know what I mean? You know how that works, okay? But what I'm saying to you is, do you think they need to get tough a little bit more?
I always think that when you have a guy like Sidney Crosby, I like having a big bruiser there that's going to be an
Yes,
intimidator, a fighter.
on his
That if you
line.
touch him, you look at him too hard on the ice, he's gonna knock you out. You know,
Malcolm too, on
I
his
went to
line.
the Penguins game to see a fight, and a hockey game broke out. You know, they weren't prepared. I like to see these guys get it on. I think the Penguins need to have a bruiser. You know, you have Sidney Crosby. Congratulations. He just scored his 500th goal, and I saw him get his 501 live. But you need to have a bruiser. I want somebody there who's going to intimidate, who's going to be an enforcer. And I haven't liked that for years. I want a big enforcer there just to have that intimidation factor. I agree. We need more physicality.
Yes, we do, and I keep, last year, Ron Hextall went out and he got a couple of guys. He got that Adini. He's pretty tough, but he hasn't played, or he's been on a bad streak with goals. And Jeff Carter gives 100% every game when we need him to. And they had to fill in a little bit because Crosby and Malkin were hurt this year. And now they've kind of calmed down a little bit. The thing that bothers me is this Casperson. He's the one that we gave up a #1 draft pick for, that Jim Rutherford traded off, and we haven't been able to get anything out of this guy. And now I'm hearing stories he could get traded, which wouldn't be a loss. I tell you, the guy I'd like to see come back is Phil Kessel. It's just too
Yeah,
bad that Phil Kessel acts like an immature. He's immature, and Rick Tocchet had to babysit him, and all that stuff. Those were the stories that were going around when he was here, and so I thought, I agree with you 100%. I've been on top of this. I've said this many times that I think that Hextall and Burke need to go out and they need to get this team toughen up and tell Mike Sullivan, hey, look, you're going to have to fix your offense. You're going to have to rearrange some things. I think they're doing this at the convenience of him, and I think that's wrong because now that affects your team going into the playoffs. If any team watches that footage of that guy hitting Jory with that stick and us doing nothing about it,
yeah,
what do you think's going to happen? They're going to
yep.
start beating
Happening
up
over and over again.
exactly, and that's going to be something of a weapon that they're going to be able to use to beat us, and that has me disturbed right there, Luther. I think that's poor the way that goes. Anyway, all right, let's talk a little bit some other sports nationally here. The LA Rams today hired Greg Olson as their new offensive coordinator. What do you think about that?
I mean, the Rams, like I said, the Rams have talent, man. You know, you got Stafford. He's living his best life. You know, he may not help people if they fall off the stage, but he can definitely get it to the playmakers. Cooper Cup,
Right.
Cam Akers is a great running back. I just think they're just ready to roll, man. They should get Woods back next year, and they may sign Odell Beckham off an ACL. I think it'll
Yeah.
be solid. When you have players like that, all it takes is a small system, and we know Sean McVay is really going to run that offense. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's Sean
Absolutely.
McVay's offense.
Doing
This
great
offense
offense.
is going to look
Exactly.
the same as
Absolutely.
last one. He's offensive coordinator in name only. This is Sean
And name
McVay.
of yeah. Anyway, what do you think of the new coaches that have recently been hired? What do you think of Lovey Smith for the Texans? Doug Peterson's back. He's down at Jacksonville, and some of these younger coaches. Byron Leftwich didn't get a job. What do you
No,
think?
I'm very hurt about Byron Leftwich. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he definitely should have got one. I thought he had a chance at Jacksonville. I thought that was going to be his job.
Yeah, I
I
thought
think it
so too.
wasn't
But see,
great.
what happened there was the story I heard was he sat down at the interview and he told the owner that the general manager that's currently installed him that they don't get along, and he wanted him out. He says, "I'll take the job, but I want him out." And that's what he told the ownership. You don't tell the ownership something like that when you're
That's
interviewing.
come on, Ralph. That's a rumor. We don't know if he
No,
didn't
I
sit
know
down
that.
at
I
the
said
interview and said
report
that.
on that. I just said that's what the
Come
reports I
on.
read.
Listen, yes, I believe that's true. And I think it got back. He didn't like the GM, and I don't think the GM liked him. So that wasn't
Right.
going to be a good fit. The GM
Wasn't
and the
gonna be.
coach have to be a great partnership.
Yeah.
You know, when it's a
Yeah.
great partnership, that's great. But if the GM doesn't really have your back, it's just not going to work. But I think Byron Leftwich,
I think he's a
Trevor
good
Lawrence
coach.
would have been
I'm
great.
not saying he's not a good coach. I'm just saying that's what the
Yeah.
reports are saying that
Oh yeah,
he
I think there definitely was a rift there. But
correct.
Doug Peterson I think he did a good job at Philadelphia. He got him a championship.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, he was
Just had
limited
Carson
by a
Wentz for a
quarterback.
quarterback. Yeah, he had Carson Wentz for a
Carson
quarterback.
Wentz, as we saw, he will throw a pick in a minute. When the bigger the game is, the more picks he's going to throw. And in fact, Indianapolis is trying to trade him again.
Who
Doug
do I
Peterson's staying far away from him.
who did I compare him to when I had you on on my Sports Corner TV show? Nate Peterman, choker. He's
Oh,
nothing but a
come
choker.
on. He's not that bad. Come on now.
No, but I mean he's a
Peterman
choker.
should have never been drafted in the first round. Carson Wentz, he deserved that first round draft pick. He's just not
I
he's
know.
not an
He was
elite quarterback.
yeah, I know. I know Nate Peterman wasn't, but Nate Peterman chokes everything he does. I mean, it's like
Oh, God.
everywhere he went, he choked. He choked in the
They
Senior
set
Bowl.
him up. He was a
Bowl.
third round grade, and Buffalo reached out and grabbed him for no
He
reason.
choked at Buffalo. He choked at Oakland. He choked everywhere he's been. I mean,
You're right.
that's why I call him Nate the Choker. I mean,
Nate.
that's you know, just like I'm going to call you the Iceman. I saw those photos. Those ones of
Yeah,
you at the
man.
Ice.
Oh,
There you
man.
go, the Iceman Dupree. There you go, man. There you go,
Hey, listen, when you
man.
go to the NBA and they had that room with all the balls, I had a great time. I saw
Oh,
some
down to
great
Cleveland. I bet
legends in
that
the
was
game.
nice down there, huh? I
Oh, it
bet
was
that was
great.
great down there.
It
That's
was
good. How
great.
they
Cleveland
doing?
didn't do much cleaning of the snow, and it was cold, but man, it was great. A great experience, man. I loved it.
Oh, how's the Cavalier? Or no, I'm sorry, they're not. They're the Cavaliers. Yeah, how they doing these days, Don?
Oh, Cavaliers are doing excellent. They're the
I
number
don't
four
follow the
seed in
NBA
the
that
East. They had two All-Stars. Darius Garland is a point guard, and Jared Allen, who's a center.
much. Oh,
That's a
okay.
team of the future. And don't be surprised if LeBron ends up there after he's done with the Lakers. You
Yeah,
know,
I've been hearing stories about
that's a
that too.
possibility. That's a strong
Yeah,
possibility.
I've been hearing
LeBron
some
has
real
a couple
stories
years
about
left. He has a couple years left, and he wants to play with his son. That would be an amazing feat for LeBron
that. Oh,
James and
absolutely.
LeBron James Jr. to both play.
Okay, I have something for you. Tonight is the USFL draft. Okay, and we spoke earlier about Jeff Fisher. And Fisher, guess who he's drafting first pick?
No, what a quarterback!
He's his former Steeler quarterback.
He's a former Steelers quarterback.
A former Steeler quarterback.
I'm trying to think that who's
You
still
ready?
young. And who is it?
Landry Jones.
Landry Jones.
He's
Wow.
taking Landry Jones in the first pick of the draft.
And that explains why Jeff Fisher is such a trash coach. Of all the quarterbacks, you're going to take Landry Jones? Come
Yes.
on, man. There's plenty of. I would have taken Cordell Jones before Landry Jones.
They have Johnny Manziel in the draft too, and they also have Duck Hodges. And
Duck
guess who else?
Hodges is back. I love Duck Hodges. I got a chance to meet him. Another thing, Steel City Youth, we take kids to different games and different things. He was one of the nicest NFL players that we met. He took pictures with all the kids, gave them some encouragement.
Nice.
He's a good guy.
I appreciate the work you do for the youth, man. I really do. Because you know what? The youth need it. They need a lot of this stuff. I really appreciate that. I really do. I mean, because I was in the Boy Scouts myself, and I know what it is to grow up without a father. I did that myself. I was in the Boy Scouts. I made it to Eagle. I was an assistant scoutmaster. I know what it is to work with kids, and it's a rewarding experience to work with kids and then see them grow into men, and that's a good thing. And keep them off off the crime element and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's great
Right,
to see.
exactly.
Working with kids. I appreciate it. I really do. And
Thank you.
I thank you for that. And Paxton Lynch is also on that in that draft.
Oh, another Denver bust. Oh, they have some bad quarterbacks in this. This league's not going to last. Those are your marquee quarterbacks.
Johnny Manziel. Yeah. There's
Johnny Manziel, he has a following with him. So, he'll bring some people. He'll throw some picks. He's an exciting player, man. I like him a lot, man. As far as off the field, he keeps it interesting. We got some
Jimmy Clausen, Ryan Mallett, EJ Manuel, and guess who? Deshaun Kaiser. Remember him? Backed up.
From Notre Dame.
Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame
yeah,
Green Bay
yeah,
Packers.
yep,
Wow.
yeah,
I thought he was going to be a solid pro. They
yeah.
got
I
all
know.
the they got all the NFL rejects in the USFL, man. What's
Yeah,
their stick going to be? Say
Chase
that again.
Lawton. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Their draft is tonight. They're doing quarterbacks and running backs, I think, and they're having 35 different categories of drafting. And the Maulers picked number 7. Kirby Wilson did say that our head coach that if Duck is there, he might take Duck if he's there. So
Wow.
when it's their
Wow.
turn to pick.
See, in a league like that, who do you go first? You get your quarterback first or what? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's what they're doing first. Quarterback
yeah,
picking, and they're picking by position, Luther. That's how they're doing it.
yeah,
They're going to do
yeah.
quarterbacks, running backs, line, offensive linemen. There's a Penn State and a West Virginia, and Pitt's
Mm.
Aaron Matthews is in this wide
Oh,
receiver.
okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's in it. And Marquise Lucas, West Virginia, Stephon Gonzalez. He was a good offensive lineman at Penn State,
I
and
remember that name.
Aaron Ellis from St. Francis. He's
Wow.
there. He's in
Wow.
that draft.
See,
So I mean,
that's another thing. When you have these drafts, these are all quarterbacks. What do we say about them? These are all busts or guys
but,
that weren't any good. And these are
but
your marquee players for the USFL.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
you,
know. I don't know. I don't know what the future's going to look like. If this is the best you're giving us.
yeah,
Who's the
they were,
quarterback? Paxton Lynch.
yeah, Paxton Lynch. I tell you what, I don't know what you know what. Before he was entered into the USFL draft, he got cut by a CFL team.
Yeah,
He did nothing when he was hit with the Steelers, nothing at all.
nothing at
He
all.
rode the practice squad. I mean,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
heard he couldn't get the offense. I don't understand how you couldn't get Randy Fichtner's offense. It wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't a complicated offense at all.
Uh,
Basic.
exactly, exactly. Luther, thanks for being on the show tonight. I really had a lot of fun, and we talked a lot of sports here tonight. And remind all my audience again about your shows, and then we're going to wrap things up here.
All right, hey, scsportsworld.com, Steel City Sports World, www.pctv21.org. The first Wednesday of every month, I'm live with Claudio Rosano, Smoking Jim Frazier, Boxing Authorities. We're also on PCTV, Vive Network with the WBC, Facebook. Just type it in to YouTube. We're on there as well. But you can get everything, all our dates and everything, scsportsworld.com. Would love to have everybody participate. Appreciate you, Ralph, for having me. I'm glad you're
Hey,
back, man. I like this partnership already.
before you wrap up, we have Steel City Luke. He said USFL won't last past this year. Thanks for
I,
watching Steel City Luke.
I think he might. I think Steel
He
City
might be
Luke
right.
might be right.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Don't put your money on them lasting past a year because USFL with the talent they're putting out, I don't know.
I don't know. You know, Mark Mancini, my producer and my partner on a couple of my new shows on the national network, he wants me to get him a Mauler shirt and a beanie hat. And I said, Mark, I said, you sure you want this? I said, because I'm going to tell you what, it might not last past the season. He said he just
it'll be a
wanted it too
collector's
much.
item. Hey,
Yeah,
Ralph,
yeah.
it'll be a collector's item.
Yes, exactly, like the old mugs and all that, and the pennants.
Exactly. I get them all. I'm gonna get a Mauler shirt too. Who knows? I'll save it for my kids. Maybe it'll be worth something.
Hey, Luther, you have a great one, man.
All
Thanks
right,
for
you
being.
too, Ralph.
I appreciate it, man, and I'll see you Monday night. I
Oh, I
can't wait.
can't wait.
In case you don't know what Monday night is, Luther and I, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano from Steel City Sports World, and Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, and myself on one big show. We're doing the Year in Sports Spectacular. There hasn't been a show like this since back in the 90s when they used to do it on the radio, when they had the Myron Cobes, the Bill Hillgroves, and everybody all got together and they all talked sports from all the different networks, and nobody cared. But they were able to sit there and talk like, as a collective group and review the sports. But we're doing it on TV. It's back, and we're bringing it back. And I think it's going to be a success Monday night. Plus, we're taking your phone calls as well, which means you, the audience, can participate. It's going to be a great show. I think it's going to be super duper. So what's your thoughts, Luther?
Hey, I can't wait. Listen, man, there's so many topics You got great
Yeah,
personality. You got
I
jokes.
appreciate
You have
Thank you.
entertainment. You're going to have fights. And, you know, we may
Yeah.
be able to get a word in you and me, Ralph, because we got some
Oh, I
talkers
know.
up there.
I know. We got the top contenders there, man. I know. I know. It's gonna be
It's going to be
interesting.
live. You don't want
It's
to miss
gonna
it.
be
Make sure
live.
you
Yeah,
call. It's going to be
yeah.
exciting, Ralph.
Like my man Dimitri Vassileris used to say, live and dangerously local. So I think we're
There
gonna
you
be
go.
pretty much dangerously local. Luther, have a great one. Thank you.
All
Be
right, Ralph.
safe, my friend, and I'll talk to you again another time. Thanks for being on.
All right.
This has
Take
been
care.
Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams. My special guest was Luther Dupree. I'll catch you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. Be safe. Good night. Thank you.